When it's time to draw the angle, most people convert the radians into degrees. But what I want to do, I want to help you to draw the angle without converting the radian into degree. So what we are going to do, we are going to use a strategy where we will use the strategy to draw angles in standard position. So what I'm going to do, I am going to consider my x-axis, this is my x-axis, and then I will consider my y-axis, and this is my y-axis. So this is my x-axis and this is my y-axis. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to consider one revolution. And if it's a one revolution, how much is the angle? The angle is 2 pi. So my starting point is this point right here. Let me use a different color. So my starting point is this line, and then I will go around the circle like this in a counterclockwise direction, and this is my one revolution, and the angle is, total angle is 2 pi. So if I go from this starting point, which is my starting point, and we also call it standard position. So what we are doing, we are taking one whole cycle from the standard position, and if we take one whole revolution, then the angle subtended is 2 pi radian. I should say 2 pi radian. So the angle subtended is 2 pi radian. Alright? Now, let's consider another example or condition. So this is my, again, x-axis, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to consider my y-axis, and this is my y-axis. So y dash, and this time what I'm doing, I'm considering 3/4 revolution. 3/4 revolution. And when we consider 3/4 revolution, the angle subtended or the angle subtend at the center would be what? 3 pi over 2 radian. It will be 3 pi over 2 radian. So what we will do, so as you know, this is my standard position. This is my standard position, and what we will do, we will go 3/4 of a revolution in counterclockwise direction. So we will go 3/4, and this angle is a counterclockwise, and the value of the angle is 3/2 pi radian. It's a 3/2 pi radian. All right. Now let's consider a third condition. So my third condition is, what I'm going to do, I'm going to consider my x-axis. So this is my x-axis, and let's consider a y-axis, and this is my y-axis. My standard position is this is my standard standard, standard position. So this is the x-axis is my standard position, and what we are doing this time, we are going 1/2 of a revolution, 1/2 of a revolution, and when we go half of the revolution or 1/2 revolution, the angle that we subtend is pi radian. We subtend pi radian. So what we will do, we will go around the circle and we will go half of the circle. So this angle is pi radian. Now let's consider a fourth condition. So this is my x-axis, and now let's consider a y-axis. So this is my y-axis, and this time we are going 1/4 of a revolution, 1/4 of a revolution, which is basically what? Pi over 2 radians. It's a pi over 2 radians. So in order to draw 1/4 revolution or pi over 2 radian, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with my standard position. This is my standard position. So what I will do, I will go counterclockwise from my standard position, and I will consider 1/4 of the revolution, which is basically what? 1/4, and this angle is pi over 2 radians. Pi over 2 radians. So if you have to do one revolution, which is basically 2 pi, which means what? You start with the standard position, which is basically your starting point at x-axis, and then you go one circle around. And if you go one circle around, which means what? One revolution, which is equal to 2 pi radians. If you have a 3/4 revolution, which means 3/2 pi radians, so you start at standard position, go counterclockwise 3/4, because 3/4 revolution means what? 3/4. So 1, 2, 3/4, and whatever angle you will cover, that will be 3/2 pi. If you have a half of the revolution, means 2/4, so 1 and 2, so you start at your standard position and go around and consider 2/4, that will be your pi radian. So basically the angle generated in that case is pi radian. And our last condition is 1/4 revolution, which is basically what? 1/4 of the revolution. So if you go 1/4 of the revolution, which is what? Pi over 2 radians. So this is your standard position, and you're going counterclockwise direction 1/4. So if you go 1/4, that is equal to pi over 2 radian. So basically, instead of converting the angles in degrees, what you can do, you can draw the angles in standard position using this basic idea, and you can draw any angle using the standard position, and then also follow how much further you have to go from the standard position. And this is how you can draw angles in standard position.